Welcome back, everybody. It is Sunday, which that means we have Otis Kirk on joining us to talk about Arkansas football recruiting news. And we have a lot to talk about this week, Otis, especially because of all the commits that we have this week that were being announced. You know, the biggest one I want to talk about with you, or at least the one that kind of annoyed me the most, I know Jalen Braxton wanted to announce on his mom's birthday, but did he have to do it past my bedtime? Come on.
There was a lot of reporters probably weren't too happy with that. I didn't mind simply because I'm usually up late like that anyway. And also I watched the Yankees game at 6, and then the Lakers came on at 9:30, so it worked out where he did it right after the Lakers game ended. So
that worked out perfectly.
It was great for me, but yeah. But no, it was late. It was. You know, I'll tell you one thing about that. I will say one thing. I'm proud you brought that up, Courtney. Because one thing I will say, I was surprised how many people were on Twitter at midnight reacting to him committing at midnight. You know, I mean, I know it's Friday night, but I mean, I'm thinking, you know, a lot of people go to bed knowing, hey, the information will be there in the morning. But no, I was shocked at how many people were still up. I think that's a credit to Jalen. I mean, I don't know, credit to him. It shows you how talented he is, how the fans at Arkansas view him. I guess is what I'm trying to say. I mean, they really view him highly because I did not expect that many fans to be up at midnight still retweeting and tweeting to him, and it was awesome, really. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool. In fact, I got kind of into it and didn't go to bed till like 1:30 or 2, but it was pretty cool. I mean, but no, he's a very good player. They got a great one there. I mean, he's a 4-star. He committed to Michigan State, and he backed off that simply, Courtney, because he felt it was too far from home. Arkansas to him is a perfect location in the fact that it's about 4 or 5 hours from home. Something happens, he can get home, but it's not right there next door where he's not getting to go away to college. It's kind of the perfect storm in that sense of distance, you know.
Yeah.
And then. But yeah, and that was all a credit. The deal with midnight was all a credit to his mom.
I love that.
Yeah, it's in the story. People can see in my story, but he put in the story. I mean, he said, you know, without her, I mean, she's up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. cooking me breakfast so I can go to early workout. He said she's taught me. Without her, I wouldn't have the success I've had, and she teaches me to stay humble. That's all. I mean, this is coming from a kid that's really got his stuff together, got good parents, and I mean, it's just so typical of this class. But I mean, it was really a credit to me. I mean, to him that he wanted to do that, and for his mother, it meant that much to him, and that's why I don't mind that stuff like that. I mean, it's a little weird, but I mean, in the sense that not weird, but it's different. I'm sorry, not weird, but it's different. But hey, I mean, you know, every kid is different. So, I mean, they want to do something different, you know. And, you know, I mean, I appreciate the ones at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and it's out by 4:01 to tweet it. Those are great. I love them. But I mean, you know, hey, it was unique. And I didn't mean it was weird. I said that it was unique. It was different, and that's what I meant by that. Not weird, but that was a bad choice of words. But
and I read your story too, and you mentioned that, and you can actually see that on knwa.com, or you can see that on hogwarts.net. But one thing I loved about it, you said, you know, he made the decision to come to Arkansas. You know, he made a quote, and he said, you know, hey, Michigan State was for me. But Arkansas was a decision for me and my family. And I thought that was really awesome that, you know, it wasn't, you know, all about him. It was, you know, he made a decision for his family too.
Oh, this whole deal's been about the whole family. It's not, you know, I mean, Michigan State, in fairness to him, was the first school he visited, if I'm not mistaken. He left there and he went to Baylor, and then it was Baylor or Michigan State was his first. But anyway, he fell in love with Michigan State when he first got there. But then it was kind of the new, you know, different pros. He got to Arkansas, and he committed actually before he left that weekend, and then he went public later on and decommitted from Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing he said, he bonded well with R.J. Johnson, you know, Ian, the defensive tackle, and of course Christian Ford, the safety from McKinney, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Christian Ford and he grew up together. They grew up
Oh,
together,
wow.
so they're really good friends, and they were on that visit together. And that was smart of the coaches, the team, the coaches to team him up on the weekend that Christian Ford visited, because that's one of his best friends. And that really, I think, made the whole situation more comfortable, And, well, Coach Bowman is knocking it out of the park with this recruiting class. R.J. Johnson's a cornerback. I mean, it's just really, I tell you, two positions, Courtney, and I'm not going to get off. This is off base a little bit. Well, it's not really, because it's talking about, but two positions that this staff is really recruiting better than they have in the past is defensive backs. They're getting more speed there. They're getting more defensive backs, getting numbers there. And then linebacker, they're not getting the 5'10", 5'11", 6', 6'1" guys anymore. They're getting the 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". That's kind of the people they play against each Saturday. When you see Alex Sanford or you see a Carson Dean, those look like the kids Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, and LSU, and those A&M is putting up against Arkansas. They're getting the size and getting true linebackers, and that hasn't been always been the case in the past. But I just want to make sure those two groups, Mike and Dominic, have really done a good job with those. They're all doing a good job, but those guys have really upgraded the recruiting at those spots: safety, corner, nickel, linebacker, all those. I mean,
Oh, for sure, for sure. But, Jalen wasn't the only four-star to commit this week. We also had wide receiver Micah Tease as well. Can you talk about him a little bit, Otis, and what he kind of brings to the table?
Boy, he brings everything to the table. You're talking about a kid. They beat OU, Notre Dame, and Southern Cal to get. Well, he had 28 offers. They beat a lot of schools to get him, but it was down basically to Arkansas, Notre Dame, and Southern Cal, and he chose Arkansas because – and that's one Kenny Guyton really needed and did a great job recruiting. Here's what Micah brings to him. He brings speed from the same school that produced guys like Felix Jones, Jared Collins, Eric Bennett, Keon Parker, who's there now. They really recruited that school well. And Felix, of course, is the headliner from Tulsa, Booker T. Washington, first-round draft choice of the Dallas Cowboys after he left here. But that's just Micah Tease is the first wide receiver. Well, they had a wide receiver in the decommit. So really, Micah Tease is the first wide receiver in the class that's committed. And, he was a priority for Coach Guyton, one of the priorities, They wanted two of the kids out of Oklahoma. They got one. One of them went to Alabama. They're still recruiting Joshua Manning. But Micah just brings speed. He brings good hands. He brings athleticism. He's a great defensive player. They're not going to play him on defense, but he's a great defensive player. Mm-hmm. He had great stats at defensive back. But he's the type kid that can help you a lot of ways. But, he's one that you can plug in at receiver and you know what you're getting, and you're getting a standout. I think he's the best player they've signed out of that school since Felix. And they've signed some good ones. They've signed some 3 and 4 year lettermen out of that school. And I think he's the best one. I'm really high on him. I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised they got him.
Really?
I didn't think early on. Yeah, I was. Early on, I just didn't think they'd get him. I mean, most of those kids go to OU or his friend last year went to OU from that same school. But no, Arkansas did a good job.
Yeah.
They did a great job on him and got him. And if you could get Joshua Manning to go with him, if Kenny could get Joshua, now I don't know what he will, because that kid was getting ready to commit to Kansas State last Sunday, and then he backed off of that. But if you could pull him in, his mother played here at Arkansas. He's got ties to Arkansas, so played basketball here. But if you could get Joshua Manning to go with Micah T, you'd have two receivers there that you could plug in and play for 4 years, or 3 years if they only stayed 3 years and then went to the NFL. They're that good. They're both really good players.
Awesome.
They're smart kids, good kids, and very outstanding football players. But that was a great pickup for Kenny Guyton. And if you asked me 2 months ago, did I think he was getting Micah Tease? I'd have said no. I really would have. And
that's huge.
That surprised me, I mean, it really did. I felt good about Braxton for a while, but even when he was committed to Michigan State, but not Micah Tease. I was surprised that not in the last month or so you could see the trend. The trend was changing on him, but early on I really didn't expect that.
Oh, that's pretty big. I mean, these are guys that can come in, like you said, and make an impact pretty much immediately. But that
Oh yeah.
they weren't the only ones. We have to one more guy. We've talked about him on the show before, Paris Patterson. I mean, I know we were talking about him 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago. How do you feel now that he's made it official?
Well, he's a four-star. He came to camp. They didn't even know about him really that much, and he came to camp and he showed out and got an offer. And they said, "Man, they would have offered him a long time ago if they'd known that much about him." But they got him, and he's the third offensive lineman. He'll join Joey Sue and then Luke Jones. But here's the deal. Here's the deal on that. Luke Brown. I'm sorry, not Luke Jones. Luke Jones already on. Well, he'll join Luke Jones, but it'll be Luke Brown he joins in the class, not Luke Jones. I'm sorry. But anyway, too many Lukes. But anyway, he's the third offensive lineman. They're going to take four, and the next will probably be Bryson Lang out of Alabama. And if you get him, then on the fifth one, if they would take a fifth one only if it's a big-time difference maker. It will not be somebody just to be taken. And here's one thing that Coach Kennedy's trying to do, Courtney, that's kind of interesting. He's trying to stay away from the transfer portal because he wants his offensive linemen to know when he signs them that they're going to be developed here. They're not going to look for the quick fix to move ahead of them in the depth chart. He wants to recruit the high school kids, develop them, and keep them in the program, kind of like he's done with those guys like Stromberg and the other kids are on the offensive line, And so that's kind of the goal on the offensive line. They want four for sure. And if there's a fifth one out there that's just somebody decommits from a school and a big-time player, too good to pass up, they won't pass him up. And so that's kind of the situation they set on the offensive line. Paris is a four-star with rivals. All three of the kids that committed this week were four-stars at various places or all the places, but Paris was with rivals.
Okay.
And, but so they got all those kids you can say are four stars, the three kids they got this week. So they did really well there. And, and plus they're good players. I mean, they know these guys. They've been around. Paris is the one that Paris is the one that kind of came on late simply because they didn't know about him. He came down from East St. Louis, went to camp here, and it was like, wow. I mean, he was big. I saw him at that camp. He was whipping some rear, and he's a good ball player, and they got a good one there. So, I mean, they feel good about where they're at on the offensive line. You'd be sitting here on July the 10th, 11th, whatever, 10th, I guess it is, sitting here on July the 10th, and you're sitting here with three commitments, and you'd be happy with four in the class.
Yeah.
You're sitting in really good shape. So you're sitting in very good shape. And by the way, Lang from Pike Road, Alabama, will be here for the Alabama football game. He's made two unofficial visits that I know of since the season in recent months. He was here not long ago, and then he was here a few months ago during spring ball. He is he's going to come for an official visit the weekend of the Alabama game. And so that's another four-star offensive lineman they're in on, and he's got a chance to. I think they got a really good chance at him. So I'm thinking is I think Arkansas is the team to beat. Let me put it that way for Lane.
Oh, for sure.
He's good too. Real good.
You kind of touched on it just there, Otis, but kind of to wrap us up here, what is next for Arkansas? Who are they targeting? What would be a great scenario for them, moving forward? Obviously, like you said, it's July 10th, and they've already gotten all these guys. Moving forward, what are they looking for?
Okay, well, I think right now you're looking at probably four possibilities, and I'm not saying they'll get all four of these. We've already talked about Joshua Manning. That's Arkansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, Nebraska, Missouri. That's where he's at. And Kansas State was in the driver's seat, but then he backed off of his commitment last Sunday, so that's to be determined, I guess. Brad Spence is the one that we haven't touched on today, a linebacker out of Houston Klein Forest, 6'3", 230. He's down to Arkansas, California, and Texas. And I think he might be the next kid that pulls the trigger one way or the other. And I look for Arkansas if I was projecting him, I'd say he'll go to Arkansas. Mike's done a great job. Mike Shear's done a great job recruiting and really done a great job on this kid, too. So I look for him. I know he had a great visit here. He went to California the next weekend. Both Arkansas and California offered his younger brother, who was not just a token offer. He's 6'3", 210. He's 2 or 3 classes back. So, I mean, he's a legit player. I mean, this kid, Trent's his name, and he's a legit player, too. So, you know, I mean, it's not. That wasn't just a token offer, but it was a good offer in the sense that, you know, Brad comes here, he knows his brother can follow him if that's what his brother wants to do. But anyway, he's you know, and then we've talked about Lang and we talked about Manning, you know. So, you know, right now, that's probably pretty much where they're sitting right now. I mean, they would, you know, if you can get to 23, well, if you get 22, 23, 24 commitments here this time of year, you're really sitting pretty good. So that's about, you know, and by the way, and I haven't said this on here, I don't think, but people ask me about running backs constantly. Listen, they've got a running back commitment, and they're only taking one in this class.
Yeah.
They've got 5 or 6 kids over there on scholarships they feel really good about. And they're not seniors. They're not seniors. They're probably all them kids over there are probably going to be here at least 2 more years, and some of them like James Joyner and Rashad Dubin probably be here longer than that. So they're not taking but one running back in this class. They feel really good about the kid, and so that's kind of where they're at there, you know. And so that's kind of, you know, Dylan Haas committed to Arkansas, so that was another one they were waiting on there. And then, you know, so I think that's pretty much the next scenario is those guys right there that I've gone over in the show, you know, kind of bounce around. But if I was going to pick one, I'd say Brad Spence probably would be the next. Although Joshua Manning could surprise us all. I mean, he could announce at any time, Courtney. It might not be for Arkansas, but Joshua Manning probably might make the decision before Spence does, and you know, wherever he goes. So I mean, there's some that they're on. You know, it's a waiting game for them, and it should be, because these kids have all, not only have they earned the right to make the decision and announce it at the time they choose, like we talked about Brax, they've got the right to choose when they want to and where they want to. So they're the ones that put in the work, and this is about them. It's not about me or you or the next guy. It's about them, and that's the way it should be. And so therefore that's why I say if they want to make decisions and do it, that's their right, and they can go where they want to it. But man, Arkansas is really doing a good job on this class. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not just trying to say that because I'm on the Arkansas station. They're really doing a good job. I've seen classes. And the thing I like about it, too, I'll be real quick with this, is just a character, too. It's not just a talent. You're going to get talent if you're coaching the SEC, if you can recruit. You're getting good character, good kids from good families. I mean, you know, I've had a chance to meet a lot of the parents, and it's just an impressive situation that Sam Pittman has really, you know, kind of done a good job recruiting good people, not just. And they trust him, too. I mean, all of them trust Sam. I mean, he's not fake. And in this day and age, when you've got the internet and everybody's got smartphones, everybody's got cameras and recorders, you don't fool people anymore. If you're fake, it's going to come out eventually, and it does.
Sure.
And they love Sam Pittman in that regard. Oh, yeah. There's no – with Twitter and even Facebook, Instagram, there's no fake anymore. You can do it, but you're going to get caught. You're going to get exposed, Courtney. And when you do, it's not pretty.
Oh, it's definitely not. But
I'm off my soapbox.
Hey, that's the best piece of advice to leave it on. If you're fake, it's going to be exposed. I love that. There you go.
Don't be fake.
Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the show, Otis. And you'll be back again next Sunday for another recruiting update for us. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.